How are you getting on, folks? I think it's safe to say we went to the punter's graveyard and we came out on top. We certainly came out with plenty of money in hand. Obviously, look at Del Vino coming in at 9 to 1. We did tip it up each way, but it came out a very impressive winner. 125. Then Pictures of Home. Very very unlucky not to get into the winners enclosure, but it ran a very very good race to finish on into second. I think it was only a neck behind. Um, what else was there? The patron winner. I think it was Let's Be Clear About It. No, it wasn't. It was another big long funny old sort of a name, but that was a very impressive winner in the 2 o'clock. The final race then again, Take Tea. That was a very very impressive winner. I think it's going to definitely be an exciting one over hurdles, but I'd say you will see it over in a bumper before, I suppose, taking that step up in class. But overall, I definitely think it was a very, very good day. We came out on top. We got plenty of winners, and that's exactly what I'm here for. That's to try and get you all winners for these particular race meetings. But tomorrow in Down Royal definitely looks to be an interesting card. There's only one horse that I have tipped up here. At odds on prices, so overall it generally looks to be a decent enough day for potential profit. So look, it's up to yourselves whether you want to get on board or not, but I still like to do these sorts of things for myself, and it certainly seems to be enjoyable for all of ye. But the first race off, the 12:15, I quite like Noel Mead's charge here with Captain Mac, currently priced around 10 to 1, paired up with Sean Flanagan. The favourite here just doesn't really tick any boxes for me whatsoever. I think it's just a little bit of a frustrating sort. When it has a good opportunity, it doesn't seem to fire in all cylinders. When it's asked to go, it doesn't necessarily find anything. Now, saying that, I could be proven well and truly wrong tomorrow, but Captain Mac is generally well and truly consistent. It's a decent enough performer. It's coming from a stable and serious form in Noel Mead. Partnered with Sean Flanagan, I think he's second or third in the jockey's table, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that though. But he's generally a sound man over jumps. That's as simple as that. I think Captain Mac, the experience that he has shown so far, should be well capable of, I suppose, proving just really in terms of putting pressure on this particular favourite, and maybe it'll put a bit of a scare in the favourites jumping. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but when you're looking at the prices, 5 to 4 for a favourite to finish second in his second run, compared to Captain Mac, who is generally an each way consistent sort of a horse, I'd definitely be taking the 10 to 1 and seeing whether he will be able to put the pressure on and seeing whether he will be able to come out on top. Moving on then to the 12:45. My next best of the day, Vintage Prosecco at 10 to 11, certainly looks to be the one to be on. I cannot see this horse being beaten whatsoever. It's got ground that's going to be liking, it's got conditions itself. The trip is perfect. Most of the field he's beaten previously. Is generally an improving sort, and surely it should be a very, very hard horse to beat. Coming from Gavin Cromwell's yard, Gavin's obviously, he is coming into form. It's certainly an interesting one, and it's certainly one that I would be taking high regard of, and Vintage Prosecco should be basically doing the business tomorrow. I would definitely expect to see it winning very, very comfortably, and 10 to 11, it's nearly at even money, so you would be nearly doubling your money having a bet in this particular horse. Moving on into 1:15. This one here is a bit trickier. It's a very, very trappy affair, and it's potentially the worst quality of race, with all due respect to the runners involved. But it's not necessarily a race that I would be having a bet on. The one that does catch my eye though is Robert Murphy's charge here. Darren's Diamond at 16 to 1. It's paired up with Alan King, who is a very, very good friend of mine. Now, I haven't heard anything really in particular about this particular horse, but I think it's very interesting the fact that Robert Murphy comes from Cork. He's coming up here with one runner tomorrow, and he's travelling the length of the country to do so. I think it's just a little bit interesting more so than anything else. And Alan obviously had a very good winner in Cork with Take All. Last time we seen him, we had a very nice betting at that day, but I think it has an each way chance. I think expecting it to go and win is a little bit too much to ask, but I certainly think if it gets in as a reserve, it would be well capable of running into a place, but it just speaks volume of the quality of the field. It's not necessarily a great race to back, and if you will be having a few bob, I suggest going very, very easy or avoid it altogether at all costs. Moving on into the 145. This one here, we're going to go with Roger Sweeney's Charge and Sean Flanagan again. Where are you now at 11-4? Certainly looks to be a very, very interesting one. Roger had a very good Listowel Harvest Festival there earlier on this year. He's generally consistent enough, more so than being in good form. When he puts his horses out, you know they're nearly going to run a very decent race. And like we seen last time out, this Where You Now came second, if I'm not mistaken. So look, it's generally a consistent horse. He's well capable of getting a winner here, there, and everywhere. I think he's based in around Kerry as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that's still a hefty journey to travel all the way up the north. I think it's only one horse he sends to Down Royal tomorrow, so that definitely does take plenty of interest. And Sean Flanagan on board, what more can we say? Sean is definitely one of the more, I suppose, better jockeys in Ireland at this stage and in this day and age. He's very, very consistent over jumps, and he should be well capable of leading this horse to victory now tomorrow. Moving on into the 220, we are going to go with Solar Heat at 11-2, coming from the Dot Love team. For those who have been following the Peaky Blogger tips, you'd have known that this Solar Heat has paid us very, very well in the past. Came in at 40-1 at an each way boom there in Limerick last time out. In similar ground conditions, it wasn't asked any sort of a question whatsoever. So that to me speaks volumes of the chance here today. They're obviously looking just getting it ready for a big race coming up to Christmas, and I certainly think this one here has definitely got plenty of more things in hand than not. Teamed up with the same jockey as last time out. To think of the name who was riding it now, I'm not 100% sure, but it's a 7-pound lamer. The one thing that is worrying me is it's carrying plenty of weight, but the one thing that I do like is that it seems to be dropping down in class. So the fact that he finished third last time out in similar ground conditions and at a similar trip, I think it's definitely well worth getting on board. And 11-2 is very much overpriced in my opinion. And look at coming from Mullingar, that love, she's certainly travelling a fair distance for. Well, no, she is brawler as well in an earlier race, but I certainly think look at Solar Heat certainly looks to be the more likelier winner out of the two, and yeah, it should be a very, very good race to watch more so than anything else. It's a tricky enough race to call. Moving on into the 255, we are going to go with Lone Among Millions here for Sam Curling and Jamie Codd, currently priced around 9-4. And this one here is going to be the free nap of the day. This one here certainly ticks an awful lot of boxes. It's 6 from 6 out of his last few runs. Obviously, look at, you have to take the fall into consideration on his first run, but since then he's turned out to be a very, very impressive sort. It is coming up against Bill Away, who, look at, it certainly looks to be the more classier horse of the field, but in my opinion, I certainly think that this Alone Among Millions has the capabilities of beating him. I think he is a very, very interesting staying chaser. I certainly think he's got the potential to be a very top class staying chaser. And look at overall, the one thing that really caught my eye was the win in Bell Harbour. This year, in this February, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was actually. It was a very, very good winner that time. It just looked to be almost a perfect winner more so than anything else. It certainly ticks an awful lot of boxes. Bell Harbour is a great starting point for, I suppose, chasers to come on, and he backed it up in Goran Park last time out. I think it's had a run since in another pint to pint, which it won fairly impressively. So look at the fact that Jamie Codd is on board as well speaks volumes of this particular horse's chance. I certainly think it's an absolute steal at 9-4. I definitely would be encouraging plenty of people to be getting on board are at 9-4, and it should be a very, very hard horse to stop. Moving on then to the 3:30, then we are going to avoid this particular one now for the free tips simply because it's my patron pick of the day. For those of you who are, I suppose, looking in here in the first time, we do have a Patreon account for the podcast, the weekly podcast, The Irish Race an Hour. It's just mainly to help fund the page and to, I suppose, help us set us up mainly for bigger things to come. It's a tenner a month. Out of the last 16 days, we're 14 days in profit, so I don't know what exactly that percentage rocks up at, but it's definitely over 90%, I would imagine. I think overall we are definitely one of the more cheaper, how would you say, premium sites, you could say, and definitely one of the more better values in terms of getting more than what you paid for. I'll leave a link in the description below for those who do want to join up. I certainly would definitely think it's well worth your tenner a month, considering the fact it's working out at $2.50 a week. It's less than your average race and paper, but I certainly look at it. I leave a link in the description below. I know it's not for others, or it's for some and not for others, but it would be great for those who would be willing to help out to get on board, and we will pay you back. That's one thing for certain. I'm going to leave it there though. Please make sure to keep liking, sharing, subscribing. We're closing in on the 300 subscribers mark. That's one thing that I was aiming at. I certainly think we are going to be getting to it. I'm hoping we will get to it now by the end of the year. So please make sure if you're looking on and you haven't subscribed to do so, please. That's all though. If you're going to be having the bet tomorrow, the very best of luck. That's all really I have to say. Thanks very much.